love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't stop, just stop it up. And if you get in my way, you gonna feel the wrath. Gotta say it to my face while he's looking back. Mirror breaks after math. When I hate, I attack. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't stop, just stop it up.
Hello everyone, I hope you're having a good day. Let's get this show on the road. Those who didn't realize, again, I will remind I have one spot in the One-on-One Academy where I one-on-one tutor you how to do proper technical analysis, far more advanced systems, tools, strategies, everything that it entails. One-on-one on the Discord. How to join the Discord? It's patreon.com/investory. And you will get to our community on the Discord. We'll be able to join and I'll be able to teach you. Of course, there's a button there. You go to the Discord, press a button, ask about the Academy, and I will then be able to talk to you. Here it is. You see, you press this Academy application or Academy application, and then we speak. All right, that's our Discord, by the way. Testimonials, right? You can see our members' point of view and how they've experienced and how great they thought the Academy is and what really did benefit them. So we have that portion of things. Now let's go into the analysis. We're here for the S&P analysis to try and figure out what the market is about to do today. In fact, pretty exciting day, I would say. Really good stuff that we're getting here. On one hand, really good. On the other hand, we are being delayed. We're wasting time. Something that we actually concluded in our community today, something very, very interesting, something that one of my members actually noticed, is coincidentally, we've been talking about this. It's something that I myself have mentioned and sort of plays very neatly into, let's see if I can show it here. If I can show it here, it'll be just perfect. It'll be just perfect. I think we were, where was that? That was the 4 hourly, right? No, that was not the 4 hourly. Daily? Where did we find that, Mr. Johnny? Where have we found that? One of our members noticed something very, very interesting. Very, very interesting today. Okay. Here we go. Yes, I think that was it. Very good. Before we go into the regular analysis, what one of my members here, Johnny, I hope you are here in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Hello, everybody, by the way. So what Johnny noticed is something very interesting, something that I've been talking about and I spoke about in one of my other lives, how it appears to be that we're moving towards that crossroads, if you will, between the two trends that you can see right here kind of cross over each other, and we've predicted there's a good probability, good likelihood that the market will end up testing that very area. What Johnny noticed that this area coincidentally coincides with the 28th of May, which is Nvidia's earnings. And we have something very interesting here. Since we're going to tackle here the technical stuff that we usually do. Notice what's going on here. Normally we can actually identify. Normally it doesn't really do that, but in this instance, what we are identifying is that sort of formation, that three impulse formation that is getting to happen, that crossover. As you can see, it's already happening. In fact, there is no doubt about it. We're having that secondary crossover right here, and subsequently another impulse, so three impulses before we end up correcting. We're sitting right at the edge, and so it's not going to be all that surprising if we'll end up developing here some form of sort of a head and shoulders. You saw I just deleted that. It was exactly what we sort of concluded. That fits perfectly sort of the narrative, the behavior, that sideways price action, moving us into this wedge, and Nvidia breaking and sort of bringing the rest of the market with it. Oppositely, we may see the market, climb back into the channel if Nvidia has explosive earnings, if that is the case, if that's sort of the scenario or the play out, or maybe we'll see instead the price action sort of slip into that wedge, which is very, very normal, and the retesting that 5,800, you might as well call it, well, 5798.77. You just might as well call that 5,800. That's the real question. Now, before we jump to any conclusions and say that this is what's going to happen here, let's go to the smaller time frames, identify how well we have our sort of support and resistance levels and our trends and momentum working out for us right now, and what can we predict out of this, and of course subsequently how will the market behave according to the indices. Those who've been around with us for long enough understand why is it that here we tackle mostly the SPX analysis, the S&P, because the S&P moves in tandem with the rest of the market, and so as some people like to imagine the SPX or the S&P going downwards, breaking down on their individual asset, being sort of floating above the rest and going higher, appreciating in price, that is not reliable nor realistic. The reality is that the individual assets move in tandem with the indices, and that's why we put most of our attention here into the indices, right? Okay, so let's look at the technical stuff that the charts are telling us. On the 1 minute, it's not really too interesting, simply because, well, 1 minute, well, it's gonna quickly run out of air, if you will. Let me just make this a little bit brighter so we can see things better. Pardon me for that. So we can see we're moving in this wedge right now. Pretty evident. The channel is being maintained pretty well. We've retested this channel from before, so we're pretty confident with its accuracy, if you will, and correctiveness. It seems that we are right about to run out of momentum, and so it's not going to be all that surprising if we will not even end up succeeding moving into this wedge, although again, not something that's going to be not completely out of the realm of possibility, giving us a retest of the very same levels, $5,710. Nothing crazy. On the other hand, what we're seeing on the 5 minutes is a convergence of the forces above the 80, which gives us overbought conditions. Overbought conditions signify more bullish momentum than bearish. Literally what we said yesterday, that we'll have just a little bit more to squeeze, but it appears to be that we're completely and utterly running out when it comes to the bullish front. We can see we've now penetrated on the 30 minutes the overbought area. Very, very slowly, took forever, but eventually we made it. Now 45 minutes is already moving towards convergence to divergence, meaning crossover of the forces. Once our D The D is the red line, which represents dominance of the bearish momentum. Okay, the green line right now is coming to an end, is running out of momentum. Once this line goes below the red line, which is like, again, the red line is the D, the green line is the K. So basically, once the D takes dominance, becomes the line above, right, our price action reverts. So what we can conclude from our leftover 20 minutes on that 45-minute candlestick, that the following candlesticks will slowly run out of momentum. Coincidentally, all that momentum dying out, happening coincidentally right here, roughly around the median. So my argument here is pretty simple. We will be retesting that median level at which we are currently residing, meaning going back and forth to it, which is not a big surprise. 5,700, we kind of spoke about it. It's a strong psychological level, completely exceeds anything we've expected the market to be able to do within the framework of this wave, if you will. But then again, that's why we don't try and gamble, go against against the grain, go against the direction of the river, so to speak, to keep it simple. And so what we are identifying, we have multitude of forces coming together right here around the same area, 57, 98, 58, call it, which, by the way, in turn, the fact of the matter that we have actually that 58 residing right there, right on top of that 5798.77, kind of amplifies both. So basically, the way you should perceive this is that we have a very strong level there, that it's not going to be all that surprising that once the price action is within the framework of, it gets retested. And so the fact of the matter is we're still now finalizing that bullish momentum and still moving higher, and as we presented earlier, we may be moving towards the end of the channel. It's not all that far-fetched to think that we may retest this 5,800, right? Basically giving us this very resistance, coming to an end of retest of the channel, of course, prolonging a little bit the process. Sadly, that also means that today's session might not be the session we were all waiting for. In fact, we kind of see the hints right here on the daily, on the 4-hourly as well, and the rest of them. So what we are identifying here is a movement to this very channel, to keep it sort of more clear, so it'll be visible and understood what it is that we're expecting. It is this appears to be maybe some sort of formation, potentially several retests before moving downwards and downwards and downwards. Okay, so why are we thinking downwards and downwards and downwards? Because again, we are having what is a very long downwards, very strong channel, that what we are experiencing so far is just the beginning of, and the real action, the real increased movement to the downside will start once both forces penetrate right here on the monthly into oversold conditions, which are we, as you can see, 22 days away from. And as we warned, there is sadly a lot more bullish momentum in the system that we've expected. Basically, how bullish? I mean, think about it, that we've corrected all the way from 4,800 back to where we are right now, giving us $1,000. So basically, we ended up moving a very steep movement very rapidly just to end up correcting a big portion of it, which, yes, ended up spending a lot of unnecessary time. But what we are identifying here is an overall downwards directing sort of channel, a trend, if you will, and no, not all of them will match and be perfectly aligned in that downwards sort of direction. And if this will flip over within the following sessions, post that one day, believe it or not, this convergence and divergence of the forces will still signal something very bearish. What most people don't realize, that anything that we do that remains below the 50 separate 50% range on the stochastic RSI, if you will, we basically retain within the framework of bearish force, and everything that is bearish will flip over, will take over eventually, will basically, so what we are more so seeing, it's the opposite of what we saw when we were going higher. The same way that on an uptrend, on a bullish trend, we have temporary short bearish periods. Here it's opposite. Why? Because we've reached the final point of the cycle before we have a prolonged leg, very, very long leg. This stuff is derived from the harmonic patterns. These are cycles that have been retained for the last 170 years. No, I'm not tired of saying that again and again and again. Those who have any doubt, please sign up to my one-on-one academy, and I will literally show you. You'll have no doubts. I'll be more than happy to guide you, show you exactly how the cycles went through, why, how does that relate to our cycles right now, what are the forces, what are the harmonic patterns. So yes, please do join, and I will be glad to teach you these wonderful things so you'll be able to understand why, unlike the rest of the market, that's being very badly misled to think that this means from here to the moon and everything is fine. It is actually the opposite. This is a preparation for a downward spiral like you haven't seen in many, many years, since 2008. Most of you haven't even experienced the sort of pain that you're about to experience in your portfolios. Most of you are about to lose roughly about 50% of your portfolios. That is the sad reality. Most people, I'm not talking to you, the chat, I'm talking to people who are not in the community, people who found themselves here by coincidence and accident and maybe are lucky enough to hear and understand these things. And I highly recommend join the community. You're more than invited. I explain and teach these things in depth, and in fact my community was prepared for this, the beginning of this downward spiral, months in advance, and understands the principle of why we do where we do the things we do, what are the forces that are creating and moving these sort of things. And again, I remind you, this is exactly the sort of material, the sort of knowledge, the sort of skill set I give in my one-on-one tutoring academy, okay, where I do it one-on-one with you, the same way you would hire a tutor for your kid to teach them math or English or whatever subject. That is exactly how I do it. That is the only way to truly master these skills and truly understand why we do what we do, we measure what we measure, and how we come up with the conclusions that we do. Okay? That is what my academy is all about. Those who don't understand, because I've heard some voices of people who are not certain. Again, I remind you to ask about the academy. It's actually fairly simple. You go to the Discord. Okay? The Discord is discord.gg/investor. In fact, let me show you. This is our invite link, discord.gg/investory. This is how you join us. You can join and go straight to this channel to get introduced to how, if you are a member, a paying member, this is how you actually join in and you become part of the insiders members, and you know about all the stuff. You'll always be in the know. You'll get exclusive material that I post on a daily basis. You'll get all sorts of really, really, really cool stuff, ad-free content, 2 meetings a week potentially if you sign up to the correct tier. There are 2 tiers. One of the tiers gets 1 meeting a week. The other one gets 2 meetings a week, not including that the academy members get their individual sessions and calls throughout the week. We have our academy chat, we have our main floor chat. Of course, great discussions and topics. I also share with my members my positions. They're fully aware of what I'm buying, when I'm buying. Of course, we have Charting 101, basic strategy, and all sorts of cool things. We have our must-watch, which I share with you really great videos that you must watch to amplify and expand your sort of knowledge in various spheres that will make you a better investor and a better market analyst. That's the point here. It doesn't matter whether you're a trader, long-term holder, however you call yourself, none of it matters. These skills are fundamental to anyone and everyone. Without them, you're basically flying blind. If you don't trust me, you can ask my students, those who've been through the academy, and understand how valuable this knowledge is. Now that I'm done with the shenanigans, let's talk about what we're seeing in a short range, what we should expect for the upcoming sort of several hours for the market. Right now, as you see, our momentum is dying down. Nothing that we did not expect. The really good thing about this is that we really ended up closing all the gaps that we opened up on our sort of this retest area that we were retesting, that 56, 55 area, kind of the range between 55 and 56. We closed most of the gaps right now. We just have a couple below us. As we said, our channel and structure present currently as if we can make it all the way to 5800, although I am extremely skeptical because you can see everything and anything coming to an end. We are basically squeezing out the most of our momentum, at least on the smaller time frames, which implies that within the following hours, or at least closer towards the end of the session, we'll become either flat or will turn around and have more bullish momentum, bearish momentum. And if that bearish momentum starts printing, we cannot have this complete, and if this does not complete all the way through, you cannot complete this process to 5800 simply for the lack of fuel to get there. Your momentum is your fuel. Once you run out of momentum, you start moving in the opposite direction because, again, as we said, now you ran out. Now the other force takes dominance now because it waited and accumulated some fuel, if you will. To put it in really simple terms, all it is price action, basically execution of trades that is happening in the market that is pulling the price action up and down. It is pretty simple and evident if you think about it. And since all of it is taking place and happening at the same time, what you see is one of the forces being more dominant than the other. Doesn't mean that now we stop selling. No, it does not mean that. That is not a real scenario. Now, that's it. I think we kind of completed the whole walkthrough of the upcoming session today. I think given that we seen most of the price action come through. Again, credits to Johnny, a dear member of ours, an OG at this stage, and definitely really smart of him, really sharp of him to notice that the narrative and the timing of events that may coincide, which, by the way, notice again that very retest that we draw here, right, correlates very neatly to what we are saying about NVIDIA, right? So this may connect to the NVIDIA thesis very, very neatly. I think, what was it? Was it the weekly, I think, that we found this? Johnny, I think that was it, right? If I'm not wrong. No, I'm wrong. It's not the weekly, it's the daily. Was it daily where we have the convergence? Yes, where the forces meet, and it makes sense that we said we will end up retesting these wedges, correct, on the daily. So this is upcoming. In fact, we can kind of see that it gives us the 30th of the month, right? That area gives us the 30th of the month, and so it's not all that far-fetched to imagine how, given the price action we're seeing right now, it's going to be spent by going sideways via very volatile impulses, pushing us into this corner, having NVIDIA earnings, and deciding whether we're going up or down. Based upon the larger scheme of things, based upon the bigger picture, I would say we're going down. Okay? That is the bigger picture. Johnny, indeed. Johnny did a killer job identifying that. Absolutely, Johnny. Good job. Johnny, by the way, is not yet even a student of mine, and this is already a good example of what, being in the community, being part of the community, hanging out with us, because we do these daily hangouts. We talk about anything and everything, as you can see right here in the open forum. Hi to Leo, hi Noy, hi Lois Stonks. Noy, Leo, and Stonks here, that I hope they are in the chat, can tell you what a great conversation we had today. Our members are free to discuss whatever they think. We sometimes speak about anything and everything, ranging from food all the way to the stock market, the psychology, the techniques, the technical analysis, you name it. And that's what gives us a huge advantage, that we operate like a think tank. Because if somebody has a really bright idea that he thinks he should share with the community, he or she does, and then we are all smarter for it. Right? That is the power of the community, boys and girls. Our community here is one of the most powerful tools you'll have, even even if you don't necessarily apply to the one-on-one academy. Yes, I do have to insist that the one-on-one academy is a far more powerful tool and gives you a whole skill set, something that I honestly can tell you that you do not get anywhere else. It will truly allow you to stop flying blind, and more so recognize that you were flying blind so far. And when you do understand what sort of problem or issue or what sort of exercise you're trying to do or problem to solve, you will naturally know what the natural solution to this problem. It will in fact fall right into place. You'll realize that is the thing that should be done. Why? Because we're all smart. We just somewhat become weirdly incompetent when it comes to our own money because we become emotional. So if you detach your emotions and you look strictly at things through a mathematical lens and a logical lens, believe it or not, it becomes extremely easy. Very easy, in fact. And it doesn't matter, like I said, whether you're a trader or you define yourself a trader, somebody who's a day trader, somebody who's a scalper, somebody who's an investor, long-term holder, swing trader, you do options, you do bonds, you do ETFs, you do the derivatives of sorts, you do individual stocks. It doesn't matter what you do. This knowledge is pure gold for anyone and everyone, as they have a part in the market that allows you, like I said, not to fly blind. You know, you're not going to be flying blind when you're going to have this skill set. That is the whole idea. Okay. Now that I went through all the promos, which, by the way, there are plenty more, like the prices on Patreon right now are discounted. Still, we brought the prices up higher, back to what they were. This tier, the advanced tier, within about a couple of weeks, that is now currently $40 only, that gives you a whole bunch of perks and benefits, will be changed to $100. $99.99 if you will, okay? $100. This tier will be $100. $100. And those who sign up now will retain the price they will pay now, even though there will be a change later. Those who had the old price will retain their prices retroactively. You guys will all retain your current prices. Your payment will not change. It will apply only to the new members. So those who are smart enough to take advantage of this opportunity, sign up now and not wait until this will be 40 and that will be 100. That is a smart idea for you. Why? As I said, great knowledge, great skills are hidden in my community. Come and join us. All right, that is it for today. We will meet tomorrow. By the way, those who are still not sure or don't know, we have a members meeting today, an advanced members meeting, the ones that the $40 members get. We have a lot to discuss. If it's tariffs, if it's actual price action, if it's the cyclicality of things and what it is that we're expecting, all of that will be discussed in today's meeting. All right, boys and girls, love you much. See you on the next one. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe and smash the like and all that great stuff. Without it, this channel will not grow. I need you to help me. Help me out, boys and girls. Much love. Bye for now.